Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Average Joe Dividends YouTube channel. This is my Wednesday buy video, and what I do is on Wednesdays I deposit $100 into my taxable M1 stock brokerage account, my Average Joe Dividends portfolio. On Mondays I also do a deposit as well. The difference with Wednesday is I do the picking. I pick 5 stocks and I buy $20 of each of those stocks. So let's take a look at the performance of this portfolio over the last year. You can see there's been some ups and there's been some downs as well, but it looks like we're pretty much at all-time highs with this portfolio. And if you want to know what's in the portfolio, I'll leave a link below and you can see all the different stocks that are in this portfolio as well as my allocation to each of those. So we can see the current value right here, and then the total gain. This is over a 1 year period, and you can see I've had market gains as well as dividends as well, and we've had a money weighted return of about 12.5%. And this portfolio, historically, it's done pretty much as well as the S&P 500, but there's one difference, and that is the dividend yield on my cost is about 3.5%, and it's a lot lower than what an S&P index fund is, which is right about 1.3 or 1.4%. So I could theoretically not have to sell any of my shares and just live off of the dividend income. That's what I want to do in retirement. And I know a dividend is just the same as really a forced sale. And I know a lot of people just say just buy an ETF like S&P 500, like a VTI. Well, I have those as well in my net worth, and that's most of my net worth. But I also want to have kind of a little bit of a hedge where I don't have to sell the shares like in a down stock market. I don't want to have to worry about a sequence of returns risk, which you do have to worry about even with using the 4% rule and just selling 4% of your portfolio in retirement. I think it's a lot safer to sell, the dividends or just live off of the dividends. So anyway, enough about that. We're going to get into what my buys were. Before we get into that, please click the like button to help support the channel. Also subscribe. I'm trying to get to 3,000 subscribers. I'm really, really close. So if you'd help me out there, I'm not trying to sell you guys anything. There's no courses, nothing like that. There's no merchandise. I'm just showing you what I'm doing to build a dividend portfolio here. And I also show you also the rest of my net worth as well. And we'll get into all that in just a second. So let's go to the activity log. We're going to see what I bought. We're going to see those fractional shares. We're also going to see what the next new dividends are going to be for those 5 different stocks. So you can see here's my deposit. This morning, $100. I had 2 cents left over in the account. You can see I applied that with the 5 buys. Again, these are 5 buys that I chose. I put $20 into each of those except for the 2 cents left over. And we'll go over these one by one. And we can see the first choice I had was American Express. And actually, this was a choice of a viewer. Tim had suggested American Express because I'm getting really close to breaking that $10 barrier with American Express, and especially next year with their nice dividend increase, I'll likely be there, and this will help push that over the top. So American Express this is a viewer choice, and leave a comment in below, and you can make suggestions of my next stock buys. But of course, it has to be something in my portfolio. So take a look, in the details, and you can see what's in my portfolio, and you can make a suggestion. So first up, American Express, the $20 that bought 0.06529 of a share of American Express. We'll see even these tiny fractional shares will increase the next dividend. Next up is Pepsi. That $20 bought 0.13964 of a share of Pepsi. And then next up is Yum Brands, $20 that bought 0.13703 of a share of Yum Brands. The next up is KKR. $20 that bought 0.13109 of a share of KKR. And then last but not least is Travelers that bought $20 bought 0.07685 of a share of Travelers. So we're going to jump on over to, we're going to go to the holdings tab first. We're going to come back to this. And again, this shows the 50 positions here. And if you're curious, again, I'll leave a link below so you can see what's in this portfolio. We're going to jump over to my Google Docs spreadsheet where I track all the positions in this portfolio. We're going to update this sheet after these buys with these 5 different companies. And I'll leave a link below for this sheet as well. You're welcome to use it. Or if you want to take a look and see how I track my stocks, you can just put in your own companies in here. Or just see what's all in my portfolio. You can see the company, the ticker symbol, the share price using the Google Finance function. Here's the average share price I've purchased each of the shares of these companies. Here are the shares that I own of each company. Here's the value. And then here's the cost basis. Here's the gain or loss, including dividends. Here's that gain or loss in a percentage. And anything above 25% will be in green. Here's the quarterly dividends per share. I have 2 monthly payers right here in blue. Here's the current yield if I were to buy more shares of Apple. You see KKR is one of the companies where I did buy more fractional shares. Low yield, but KKR has been, look at the gain I've had. I've more than doubled my money with KKR. So this is more of a growth play. I have companies in here that are not included, like with SCHD. I want some companies that pay a good dividend now, and I also want companies that are going to grow their dividend over time. And we can see here's the yield on cost for KKR, which is over 1%. Because I've bought my shares at a lower cost. You can see the average cost I've bought KKR at and what the current share price is. And everything on this sheet, I have it arranged. I have it sorted A to Z by the pay date. And then here's the next dividend, and that's going to change for KKR because we bought fractional shares of KKR. So I put in the 426. The next new dividend, that is going to change. So once I update the sheet, it's going to update for KKR, Yum, Pepsi, American Express, and Travelers. Those are the ones that's going to update. You can see here I also track the dividends, the total dividends, and when I receive a new dividend, I'll put a plus on that. So we can see for some of these what the dividends have been over time. Like KKR, you can see the last dividend was $4.22. The next dividend slated is going to be approximately August 28th at 3 months. It's going to be $4.26. Well, it's going to be even higher since we had a buy-in here. I also track the dividend increases. The last increase for KKR was 10%, and that was done last May. So hopefully next May, I'll get another 10% with KKR. And some of the companies, they don't do an annual dividend, or it's been a few years, like Digital Realty is one of those. That's why I have them marked as VAR or variable. Or in the case of Realty Income, they do multiple increases per year. I think it's at least 2 per year. And then Oracle, they seem to do a dividend increase in March every other year. So they're variable as well. BST, it's been a few years since they've increased that dividend. It's been kind of stuck at 25 cents. But once they increase that dividend, it's going to be even 1 penny. It's going to be 2,000, times 2,110 shares. So I'm eagerly awaiting BST to increase their dividend. So what we're going to do is we're going to update this sheet. And so I don't have to type in the new number of shares or the average share price or my cost basis for these 5 buys that I did. All I have to do is go over to M1, and from the holdings tab, I grab the data starting from the name column, grab that data, And this is sorted from the largest position to the smallest. You can see Lockheed Martin is my smallest position and SCHD is the largest. So I'll grab that data. You can see where it has the shares, the average share price, and the cost basis. We go to the M1 data tab in my sheet, do a pay special, and it's going to update those shares, cost basis, and average of the 5 companies where I bought additional shares. The other companies, it's going to just remain the same for those. And it updates it because I have VLOOKUPs from the M1 data tab. Pulling, you can see the VLOOKUP on the average, shares, and the cost basis. We're going to go over the new dividends. And since KKR, it has such a low yield, it's at 0.49%. The $20 only moved it by 2 cents. So moving from 426 to 428, and that's going to be approximately August 28th. We'll see that. And then we'll see in September 7th, right around there for Yum Brands, moving from 818 to 828. And look at Pepsi in the end of September. We're moving from 25.86 to now over 26 at 26.06 for Pepsi. Then American Express moving from $6.89 to $6.95. And it's going to be likely going to be a $6.89 because I think we're well past that ex-dividend date. So it's going to be in November. We'll get this new dividend of $6.95. And look at American Express. They have a generous dividend increase. At least last March, it was 15%. So hopefully, March 2026, that's another 15% and get us closer to that $10 and turn this one green. Then last up is Travelers, moving from $5.29 to $5.37. That'll be on September 30th. And I should have put the old values of the monthly, quarterly, and annual, but we've moved up to 1,090.08 there. So we're going to take this, we're going to put it on the monthly average dividend tracking tab. So we'll see that difference over there because we've cracked into the $1,090 monthly cash flow average. So this is essentially a monthly, paycheck, quarterly, and annual for this portfolio. So we're going to take that 1,090.08. We'll put it over here. You can see the old value is 1,089.93. So I added 15 cents of monthly income to the portfolio with that $100 deposit. And you know, when you buy things like KKR at that low dividend yield, it's not going to move the needle very much, but I'm looking for long-term growth of that dividend. So that is the event right there, the 15 cents. But we've had a whole bunch of events in the month of July. We'll add those up and we'll see how much we've moved the needle with these events. And you can see the sum is $7.72. That's how much I've increased my monthly income just in the month of July alone. So let's go to the dividend tracker tab. You can see I have history from January 2019, tracking the dividends monthly as well as quarterly. Portfolio value, you can see starting from $1,300, and then right now we're, at least for now, we're over the $300,000 mark. But of course, a little bit of a market downturn could quickly put us in the 200s again. But here we are, July 2025. This is the portfolio value rounded down to the nearest $100. Here are the dividends paid so far in July, but my heavy hitter of BST is going to round out the month here, put us well over $600, and then JP Morgan as well. So those two will hit on the 31st. Actually, it'll be on August 1st because M1 has a 1-day delay. And I'll do a wrap-up video. I'll show you proof of all those dividends received for the month of July. Here again is that average monthly dividend. You can see historically how it has gone up. I have been tracking it since May of 2021 when it was at a mere $50. and now it's well over $1,000. You can see that month over month gain just in July of 0.71%. Here's that annual dividend again. Here's the annual increase in just July alone. Here is going to be the last deposit of July. So $800 was the deposit here. You can see just most months I'm not putting in more than $1,000. You can see there are some anomalies where I thought there's maybe a little bit of a buying opportunity. Well, I kicked in a few more $1,000 here, $1,000 here, and then extra pretty much $5,000 because of all the tariff talk. I thought it was just noise. So I put in $5,000 extra dollars, and well, so far it's paid off because the market has recovered. So let's go, and we're going to go and close out this video on my total net worth. And like I said before, this portfolio here, this is about 15% of my current net worth. I believe in having a very strong foundation in ETFs such as like VTI and VU, VTSAX. Those are pretty much the foundation, the bedrock of my net worth. And over there at Vanguard, it's over 514K is in those ETFs there. And also I have a Fidelity S&P 500 index fund with T. Rowe, and that's my current employer 401k. So this is growing, making contributions to it. I get an employer match as well. And then over at M1, I also have an IRA account. You can see it's just in boring ETFs. The only thing that's kind of out of the ordinary is the BST, covered call options here. This is more for income play here. It does have some growth though as well, and that is sitting right now. The balance is at over 751K. Here's my dividend portfolio that I went into at length on this line. Here's my M1 cash sitting over here to deploy into this portfolio. And then here's my main emergency fund over here at Synchrony, getting 3.8% interest. Then here's my 2 months of expenses over at Capital One at $10,000. Have a small checking account at US Bank. That's pretty much to pay my balances over there with my US Bank card. Here's my home value, but of course my home value really doesn't count towards my, like financial independence, so to speak, unless my home is paid for, which it is not. So here's my only liability at this time. Credit card balances are zeroed out, and here's what I owe, and I'm really getting close to pulling the trigger on selling this once it does hit 205, getting close, and I'm just going to likely sell that and just wipe this out and really lower my expenses. But here's my total net worth. You can see getting close to 1.9 million there. I also track the average monthly dividends for all these other investments. My IRA over here, the other taxable brokerage account, which this will go away. This amount will go away once I sell it, but my expenses are going to go down by a lot more than what these dividends are. But of course, I will lose the the potential gains of these, but I think it's going to remove just a weight off my shoulders of expenses. And I'm paying right now, the mortgage is at 6.25%. And that's pretty high. You can see right there. There's that mortgage at 6.25%. I was looking at the details of my mortgage payment. Right now, I'm paying, it's $1,800 and change, but I make it even $2,000 to pay a little bit more off of the principal. But out of that $2,000 I'm paying, $900 of it every single month is interest. So I can at least count on a guaranteed 6.25% gain on my money just by paying off that mortgage. So you can see here's my average monthly dividend. Of course, again, that'll go down once I sell the Vanguard, but it's going to be about 3,200 at least, still there and growing with my contributions into my my 401k and all this other stuff as well. It's going to rebuild that over time. And here's using the 4% rule of here's what I would able to draw from annually and monthly from my investments. And then here's the breakdown: stocks, home equity, as well as cash, pre-tax, after-tax, US, and international. So I thought all I had to show you guys for this video was, this is mainly a buy video. And let me know in the comments below what you guys think of these selections. Again, this was a user selection. Again, it was Tim who made the suggestion of buying American Express. So if you guys have some ideas of what to buy next time, it'll have to be something in the portfolio. And here's the holdings. You can see what they are. And it has to be one of these. And I'll go through this slowly, so you can see. So next time maybe you think Waste Management or McDonald's or whatever you want to pick. And if I get especially if I get multiple people picking the same thing, if two people suggest Home Depot, likely that will be picked next time. So thanks again, everyone, for sticking to the end of the video. If you got value from this video, please click the like button. Also subscribe so you do not miss future videos. My next video is likely going to be the proof of all the dividends I received for the month of July. So thanks again, everyone. Everyone take care, and everyone have a great day.